com and the director of the Portland Comedy Film Festival. We've got an event coming up at the Clinton Street Theater just in a few short days on Sunday. We're going to watch all kinds of comedy films, from romantic comedy to dark comedy to funny animated films to funny music videos, all at the Clinton Street Theater. And one of the things we also focus on are series episodes. We're going to talk to director Oren Brimer about his first episode of Swipe Monster. And for this episode, and the work in this episode, Oren is nominated for the Best Director Award, which is, a very, very high honor. So thank you, Oren, for taking this time. How are you?
I'm doing well, Michael. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, man. Just, chugging along with some interviews, getting to know these filmmakers, and I'm excited for Sunday.
Just hanging out in front of a step and repeat. It's great.
Yeah, man. I wanted to build a home office and throw the step and repeat in here, but I think I need to get one that's like the mirror reflective one. So
yeah,
read what it says. Because right now it doesn't even look English. It just looks strange. But we're gonna.
It's fun. It's interpretive.
So what's up, man? Congrats.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. We're going to be screening in Portland, one of my favorite cities, and also at a comedy-centric festival, which are few and far between compared to all the ones that are very, very serious. So it's nice to be part of something that emphasizes comedy, which is my favorite thing.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So
this one's polar opposite from our other. We have the Oregon Short Film Festival, which is our largest festival, all genres, drama, everything's in it. But that entire judging group is focused on like production value, making your film look good, which your film looks great. Your film has great production value. But the only criteria for Portland comedy is, can you hear every word they're saying? And is it funny as hell? That's all anyone wants to know, right? There's really no other criteria. We're not really judging, how good your music was, or we really just want to know, if you put this in front of an audience, will they crack up? And yours has that certain mixture of not only crack up moments, but awkward situations and funny situations, unbelievable, like, cover your mouth type situations are part of our judging scorecard, which you scored a 10 on, because this got a 10.
Moments.
This is so awkward in certain points of the film, and I want to give that to you.
It's the Curb Your Enthusiasm scale of comedy.
That's a good it's a good comparison. So, enough with the suspense. Tell us what are we going to see? We walk in there on Sunday. What's this film about? What's the synopsis?
You're going to see a title card for about 4 seconds. Then we're going to cut to a wide shot of 2 people. So I just break it down minute by minute. So Swipe Monster is a digital series I made about the trials and tribulations of a dating app obsessed woman named Courtney. And the series is all about all the dates she goes on where she makes an awkward situation even worse. They're all first dates with people that she found online, which is inferred. There's not much of the actual swiping that we see. We just see like, okay, what is that first moment where you sit down with someone and get to know them for the very first time, when you think you already know a lot about them because you've seen their dating profile. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm kind of a geezer. Dating has changed since I was dating long ago, before being married. But
slightly.
Tell me what motivated you to write about to just create this story. I mean, I know that dating has changed, but when I'm watching your film, I was kind of like, wow, it's really changed. So what's up here?
It's more of a reflection, I think, of less about the actual concept of online dating, but how online dating puts us in a weird, precarious situation where we are walking into situations assuming we know about a person when we've only seen their persona online, right? And it also is the least, I find it to be, as someone who's experienced online dating, one of the weirdest ways to meet people in the entire world, where you have all these expectations and thoughts about a person, then you walk into a room and realize, oh, I don't know you at all. And what you present is a glossy version of yourself. It's a lie sometimes, as one episode, which isn't playing, explores, like, what if you lie about your height? What if you lie about hobbies to make yourself seem cooler? I think there's a lot of fun to be had in like how you present yourself versus how you really are. And our main character, Courtney, is so worried about what other people will think of her that she has no idea who she really is as a human being. because she's so fixated on finding her partner that she doesn't care about who she is to find that. Yeah. But it's also
All
funny.
right.
It's also very, very awkward. But I don't know. Online dating's weird. It's just such a weird thing. And because of the pandemic, it's now like the norm as a way to meet people. And I find it so backwards. I'm a participant in it still because I feel I have to be, but it is soul sucking at times. But it's also how I've met really wonderful people. So it's sort of, I'm not trying to demonize it, but it is just trying to point out it's weird. And the fact that we've accepted it as normal, I think we need to shine a light on that.
All right. Well, what did you learn during this production? I mean, nice location, great look.
Thank you. That's what the location was, where it all started. I ran into my co-writer, Phoebe Bottoms, an amazing stand-up comic, at the Turk's Inn in Bushwick, Brooklyn in February of 2020, before the pandemic came crashing down on all of us. Her half brother is the owner of it, and she's like, if you ever want to shoot something here, let me know. I'm like, okay, sounds great. I lived in LA at the time, so there wasn't really a reason to come back to shoot anything there. But then a pandemic hit, and I find myself moving back to New York in the middle of it, and there was nothing to shoot. All work, especially in the entertainment industry, slowed down to basically a standstill. So I was like, okay, I need to make something, but we're still in the middle of a pandemic. I need a place that's safe. I need to use as few people as humanly possible. And so what am I going to do? And so I call up Phoebe and I'm like, do you think we could shoot in the restaurant? Because it was closed at the time. We could throw some money to the restaurant, give them something in exchange for, right now it's literally making no money. And I was like, okay, what's a concept that would fit in that space? How could we utilize that space to its fullest potential? And then we're like, okay, simple 2-person scenes, the way you can get the most drama and stakes so really quickly with 2 people in a bar is, what if they're on a date? So it really was a series born of, we built a very small sandbox and we're like, how can we play inside this sandbox? 1 location, 2 to 3 people at the very most in our cast per episode. And I think what we did was, like, when you give yourself those limitations, and this is what I learned, is when you give yourself limitations, it actually opens the door to really have a lot of fun and play within those limitations. Because I think as soon as there's the openness of a new idea and you're like, it could be anywhere. It could have 1 million people. It could have 3 people. But because of the pandemic and because of how we had to shoot, we had to keep it so small that I think we had something where we just had to focus on character and drama and comedy versus worrying about moving our camera to a bunch of different locations. We're like, which is why we were able to shoot 6 episodes in 2 days. Yeah. Okay. Also, don't shoot 6 episodes in 2 days. Don't shoot 40 pages in 2 days is also a lesson I learned. It will burn your actors out.
That seems quite ridiculous. And I was going to ask you, and sometimes you just have to do things based on the economics of the situation and how much time you have. But how did you find your actors?
Well, I worked on an HBO show called Crashing, and a not small role. It was a meaty role in an episode I directed. Involved an actor who had never been on TV before named Barrett Wilbert Weed, who was on Mean Girls on Broadway. She was a Broadway actor. And so she got cast in the episode I directed. And when I worked with her, I was like, that girl's amazing. She's so funny. She takes direction beautifully. She can riff. She can memorize lines really well. She can tweak lines really well. Because she's a Broadway actor, she can memorize entire plays. And so when it came time to cast, she was like one of the first people I thought of to really be like, okay, who would be someone who can carry this series? Who's someone who can learn 40 pages, 40 pages of dialogue, right? and shoot it very quickly. And how can we and I needed that person to be funny, but also have heart, and also be well trained, and also be dynamic enough, because the series is all about her shifting her character based on who she's going on a date with. And when I reached out to Barrett, I'm like, hi, I'm the guy you worked with many years ago before a pandemic hit. I want to make this thing. And she was very excited about it, and she became a producer on it. And so when it came time to do rewrites and do our table reads, she was involved in the casting process as well. And the episode that's playing at the Portland Comedy Film Festival is an episode that she helped with the casting. She introduced us to a co-star of hers on the epic show Bridge and Tunnel, Sam Bartholomeos, who's like James Dean level attractive and talented. So like, and so she without her, we wouldn't have found, I think, two or three of our actors that were playing across from her, and she really was an instrumental part of our creative process, not just as an actor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I'm glad I asked, because that's an interesting story. It doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah, and what's great is we've since become like real deal friends. That's the real thing that I gained from this project. Outside of being able to make something cool and send it around, that's great. But like, Phoebe was see every once in a while, didn't even have each other's numbers friend that I just ran into at this venue. And then I was like, well, I'm writing about a woman going on online dates. I'm not going to write this by myself. I'm not going to male gaze this thing. I definitely want a female co-writer to help me out with this. And so Phoebe and I became amazing friends through the process. And then we got Barrett on board, and we became amazing friends through this. And then my good friend Morgan was who had only been a PA before, was our producer on it, and she killed it. And so we became closer. Like, the friends you make making something scrappy and passionate and for the love of it are there. It's a bond that is so different than being part of a big production with lots of money. This is us in the trenches together, just trying to make something because we had nothing else to do in a pandemic, and we're going to be tied together for a very long time because of it.
Wow. Well, it worked out in your favor. Coming out of the pandemic with comedy is another thing. That's great, man, because things were just kind of doom and gloom for the entire planet for
and a lot of stuff being made. Granted, a lot of it was very good. Was all very like exploring pandemics and being locked in. I was like, I don't want masks. I want this just to feel like, what if life goes back to normal and people can date again?
Yeah.
It's so funny because I was online dating at the time I was writing this, and it was hard to explain to people. Like, I started dating someone right before I shot it that I met on a dating app, and I had to explain. So I'm doing a shoot about the trials and tribulations of online dating. It's not about us. I promise. You aren't research. I promise.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit tricky to try to
awkward, man. So how many episodes are available? How can people watch this?
Yeah, so it's available at swipemonstershow.com to see it on the small screen, but please go see it on the big screen, because that is where it was intended to be seen, because we shot it in beautiful 4K on really nice cameras. We got a professional color grade from Company 3. We got really high-end finishing and sound design and sound mix on it, because I didn't want it just to be watched out of a laptop. It is a big screen idea and a big screen concept. And so, but if you aren't in Portland and don't plan on going, you can see it at swipemonstershow.com. There's 6 episodes. They range from heartfelt to absurd. In some episodes, she's lovable, and in some episodes, she's a real monster, like borderline sociopathic. And we tried to have her embody all the neuroses that people go through as they enter into dating in general, and then also online dating specifically.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm glad you got it out there. What's the future of the series? Are you done with this, moving on to other things, or are you planning to do more?
We have like the 30-minute version prepped, and planned, and we're sending that around to some people in Hollywood. And besides Swipe Monster, I like to have about 8 irons and fires, because this business moves slowly. And if you're putting all your eggs into one basket, that basket is it's going to fray over time. Better not to wear it out. So I'm directing commercials. I directed another short film called Escape, which is starting to get into some festivals. So that's going to come out soon. And that's with some friends of mine. I shot that in LA also during the pandemic. I sort of took the lesson from Swipe Monster, and I'm like, I can get locations for cheap. So I shot it in a closed down escape room that looked like an Indiana Jones style temple. And I was like, I don't have to art design it. It already looks like a temple. I'm like, so I built a whole script around a couple in an escape room. And I have a TV project that I have to start writing on right after we get off this call. I have a pitch due, and then a couple other things. I have a movie I'm writing, and trying to keep those irons in the fire.
Good stuff, man. It sounds like you're busy. Sounds like you're doing a lot, but it also sounds like you're very resourceful. I used to tell people, especially when I was more in production. Now I'm all film festivals, but you sit down, and when you want to structure a film, you got to write down all your assets. It's not always cash. It's like you got a friend with a nice car, you got your person that works at a club, somebody else with a farm. It's like you write around what you got, and you can
the Robert Rodriguez style. That's how he made El Mariachi.
Exactly.
He's like, I got guitars, I got fake guns, I have a cool car, I have this town that we can shoot in. I know Antonio Banderas. So I sort of know this movie star who's going to be a movie star. That's I remember reading film books about him, and he's like, just work with what you got, because I think people think limitations are limitations, but I think limitations set you free a little bit just to have fun within that space. I think the real problem is when you have endless resources. Even when you have endless resources, you still have limitations. Just because, like on Star Wars, they're just as stressed as I was on my short film.
Sure.
Because they have to you always need to fit more into a day than you should, even if you're J.J. Abrams and you have millions of dollars behind you. So it's better to think of it as, for this project, I get to play in this sandbox. And then for the next project, I'll play in a different sandbox. But don't assume you're on a beach where there's endless sand, because then you're going to get overwhelmed.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Good advice. Love that clip. Very philosophical. You got deep.
Yeah. If you want a strained analogy, you've come to the right place.
All right, my man, this has been great. Is there anything you want to add before we leave?
Well, thank you to everyone who's going to watch it. Thank you to the judges. Thank you to you for putting this on. It's really great. I'm so excited to have it play on the big screen. And keep supporting independent comedy and independent short films, because it's really it's the only thing you can really make before someone's willing to fund you. So get after it.
Well, you're very welcome, my man. Your work makes us look good. I can't wait to screen it.
Thanks so much, Michael. I really appreciate that.
Have a good one.